We know the new home for Daniel Jones. He's going to be the backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Jory, your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, I wrote a piece on Friday that I actually think really spoke to this and really pointed me toward believing that was the best fit. I wasn't saying that was for sure going to happen, but there were two reasons. When you think about what was next for Daniel Jones, first of all, if he was going to sign with the team this year, it had to be a team willing to acknowledge that if he actually played, they would be on the hook for his injury guarantee for next year. They're not on the hook for his salary this year because the Giants are still on the hook for it the same way that the Broncos are paying Russell Wilson's salary. But the way his injury guarantee is set up, it's my understanding they would be if he plays. So why would you want a guy like that to play? Only if your quarterback gets injured and you have a real playoff push. Well, the Minnesota Vikings have that. The next part is, are you going to sign someone just for the season, given that you probably want to be signing with a team where next year you have a real chance to use him? The Vikings are the perfect candidate for this because this is a team where, yes, I'm not knocking Sam Darnold. I think it's great what he's done this year and he fits. But the reality is Sam Darnold's play this year in a league where quarterback demand far outweighs its supply has earned him a multi-year contract somewhere else that is probably going to be more than the Vikings want to pay, given that they drafted J.J. McCarthy 10th overall this year. J.J. McCarthy's hurt this year. They expect him to come back. They want to take advantage of the rookie quarterback salary, and so you want to do that. So then you say, okay, well, how healthy is JJ going to be next year? How healthy is he going to be in 2025? And you don't know. It helps that he suffered his injury during training camp rather than November, December. So he'll have really a full year before they want him to play. But the reality is you want to make sure that you have a bridge quarterback. When you say, well, what do you want out of a bridge quarterback? You want someone who's good enough to win you games, particularly with the talent like Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, which is really way more talent than Daniel Jones has ever played with. And you also want someone who is going to be able to weather the roller coaster of potential distractions and getting benched and not interrupt your franchise. So you can't have, even when, who is it? Ryan Tannehill, who was like, it's not my job. I think it was with Malik Willis it's not my job to mentor a guy. Well, you need a bridge quarterback willing to mentor a guy. And when I look at what Jacoby Brissett did for the Patriots this year, you knew that Jacoby Brissett was going to be comfortable continuing to be a team first player, even if he lost his job. It's not that he wanted to lose his job, but he could handle it. Well, Daniel Jones has always proved that, but really proved it again last week when he gave his exit statement. And it was so classy. I'm not bashing how Derek Carr or Russell Wilson handled their exits with their teams when they got benched due to injury guarantees, but they each posted a statement on social media later thanking the organization. Daniel Jones got up to the podium when he did not have to talk, made this classy statement. He didn't say he was disappointed at the organization. He was disappointed in his own play, but he said that he had nothing but respect for the Giants. And during that week, he helped Tommy DeVito prepare. He played scout team safety less than 24 hours before he got released. So he showed, I am able to be that guy who could put the team before myself. Now, he should think about himself too, and I'm not saying he shouldn't, but I think that he is willing to handle hey, if the rookie quarterback goes, I'll support him. I'm not going to get in the way of his success. And the last thing I'll say is that if you want to say, well, Daniel Jones, did he really play at a level that you want to bring him into another team? The two counterpoints that I have would be, first of all, Saquon Barkley showed us it's really easy to play better when you leave the Giants. The Giants have a lot going on, and you leave, you're going to be better. And secondly, if you want to say, well, what about the quarterback position? How do we know that a quarterback who hasn't played at a high level could play better in Minnesota? Several guys have proved that. And currently, we have a guy in Sam Darnold who left the New York area's dysfunctional teams and played way better with Kevin O'Connell and the weapons. And so I think that there are just so many reasons for Daniel Jones and the Vikings. Also great for Daniel Jones' career if he could have a Sam Darnold-like turnaround. So I could go on and on. This has already been a monologue. But I do think it's super interesting for both the Vikings and Daniel Jones. Smart move by the front office and smart move by Daniel Jones.
Yeah, as you said, there's a perfect fit, really, when you think about it. And from the Vikings side of it, you're a 9-2 football team. You should be thinking we can make a deep playoff run, but what happens if Sam goes down? We got Nick Mullins as our backup. I think we'd agree that Daniel Jones is an upgrade on that. And from the Daniel Jones side of it, first of all, yes, I echo you, Jory. He really came off well in his statement at the end of his Giants tenure. That stuff reflects well, and it did for him.
It was above and beyond. It really was.
Very much so, and I applaud him for that. When you start comping guys, what if Daniel Jones is looking for some example of how do I get my career back on track? The one guy to easily look at is Sam Darnold, right? Like you said, got out of New York, got with a good coaching staff, didn't have all that pressure on him, could learn, could get with somebody who wants to get the best out of him. I think that's a great spot for him to land in with Kevin O'Connell. So this works out for everybody. I think this is a very smart move for Daniel Jones, very smart move for the Vikings to ensure themselves just in case they do have, in case something does happen to Sam Darnold. We've seen him get dinged up a few times this year. He hasn't, I don't think he's missed any games, but this is a better option for them going into the playoffs when they're a 9-2 football team that, again, should feel like, hey, if everything breaks right, we can make a deep playoff run.
And also credit for them to doing this now rather than waiting 4 weeks, because now he'll actually have time to learn the playbook and to get comfortable before the playoffs come.
Yeah, and I think that playbook is also a big part of this conversation, even long term. Like, he's about to learn the love language of an offense that's used by several teams, right? Like, this is, we all know that O'Connell's offense is a great part of the offense in several teams across the league. He can start to get familiar with the language, with the way it works, with some of the concepts of it. I think this really helps if he doesn't end up being long-term with Minnesota. It helps him bridge the gap to, let's say, a team like San Francisco that may end up not having Brock Purdy at one point. You know, you never know how these things are going to go. It opens up a whole tree of the league if he has a good understanding of that offense. So I think it's a great move for Daniel Jones. It's a great move for the Vikings. It's a low-risk move for everybody.
Look at the Rams. I mean, Kevin O'Connell comes straight from the Rams. And like, I don't know how long Matthew Stafford's going to keep playing, but yes, you're right. That's a great point. It does open up a lot. It's smart. It is smart to go to like everybody thought, oh, he's got to go to the Raiders. Like, why? So he can put more bad things on film? That ain't going to help him at all. Like, that was never, to me, a smart option. This is a smart option for Daniel Jones.